Hi everyone. I don't know if you know this man or not, Rodolfo Linus. He is a, well, here's biography here. He is a neuroscientist. And I want to show you this video if you haven't seen it yet. I've watched it a long time ago and it popped up again and I watched it again and it's just totally amazing. And as we know, things are beyond the beyond what is going on in this world in all areas. It's just, you know, amazing. And you know the Bible verse that says men's hearts failing them for fear, because these are fearful times. And I just watched the RT video about Turkey building this mosque and social center in Maryland. And then they publish a children's book about becoming a martyr and how great it is for children and how it's such an honor to blow themselves up. So this is really unbelievable. Yeah, who isn't ready to have the end come? All these people are in misery and suffering right now. And anyway, this guy, okay, I just want to show you before I show you this video. It's really amazing. This is all his early life work, contributions, and he has studied everything about the brain. And you know, it talks about he talks about the giant synapse. Okay, now this is really fantastic. They know so much about the brain nowadays. The squid giant synapse is a chemical synapse found in squid. It is the largest chemical junction in nature. Chemical junction. So a chemical junction is a synapse. So as you know, they're spraying they're spraying nanoparticles, they're putting nanoparticles in everything, in textiles, in food, in the air, in beauty products. It's just unregulated, out of this world. And what I want you to notice right here is that this guy, Rodolfo, he's now 81 years old. He was also the chairman of NASA Neurolab Science Working Group. So what is NASA doing working with the brain and everything about the brain? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How can they fool the brain? How can they how can they create illusions that tricks the brain? You know, they've studied all of that over and over and over. So I learned some things in here about okay, discovery of dendritic inhibition in central neurons. Inhibition. So some other things I learned here were about the inferior olive, whatever that is. It's inside the brain. Do you know there's even a pyramid in the brain? So here is the video that I mentioned, wires in the brain. And the CIA visited their research. And, you know, anytime the CIA finds out that some sort of new breakthroughs in the brain or in that kind of neuroscience research happens, they pay a visit and they co-opt it. Anyway, I'm going to play this for you, the whole thing, because it's really quite fascinating, okay? So get this in the beginning. This is just a little intro right here, but then the rest is incredible. So what's the protection? The protection is Psalm 91, staying close to God, because this, you know how God can, the Most High, okay, the creator of the universe, can create, speak into existence everything. Well, the secondary power has a lot of power over this earth, has all the power. He's taken over it. So what can be done is almost equal to powers of God, but will never surpass God. Okay, there's a big light and dark war, and you got to get on the right team. Otherwise, you won't have protection from these wires in the brain. So listen how they do it, and notice 2008. And I did listen to a video about the third eye on Truth Unveiled, but I don't really agree with that so much. I believe that everything in our body is designed there for access to God. If the dark forces or other religions who reject God want to co-opt it, they can. However, what about Saint John and in the book of Revelation? He had to get that from some point in his body. We can't deny a gland or like the pineal gland that produces melatonin for us to sleep and have deep, all these glands and everything work together. So maybe, the Egyptians and all these other cultures use it to access a door into other realities, or opening it up to realities. Couldn't the same thing be said that it is used to access God, a deeper relationship and knowing of God? Because God made our bodies the way they're supposed to be. He knit us together. And the pineal gland, if you love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength, and you seek the face of God, the Most High, the creator of the universe, and nothing lesser, your pineal gland is there to help you. And this is my opinion, and if it's all calcified from whatever, the fluoride and all that, that's because the powers that are flooding the earth with all this damaging stuff, damaging spiritually, is because they don't want you to use it, because you use it to access the Most High. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and by blocking the pineal gland, they're blocking the kingdom. So you have to transcend all of that. Even if your pineal gland is all blocked and everything, you go through your soul and you pray for protection. Psalm 23, Psalm 91, hide under the wings of the Most High, things like that. Anyway, okay, watch this amazing video. And scary. I haven't read all the comments, but oh, and I'm going to make a video about an art giveaway, and I am going on a trip because I have to. So I'll tell you about that later. Here we go.
Could you ever really put enough electrodes into the brain to understand these signals in a meaningful way?
In your time, no. In my time, yes. Then how many electrodes would you have to stick into your brain, though? None.
None? Surely you're joking.
You go in from the inside.
And so the possibility occurred to me, actually, that it would be very intriguing to use the holes that are already present in the brain to get to the brain without actually having to go through the skull.
Rodolfo Linas is really one of the giants in the field of neuroscience. I have friends that actually are neuroscientists, and when they heard that I was working with Rodolfo, they couldn't believe it, actually. They said, wow, how is that possible?
And the holes that I'm talking about are the holes produced by the fact that the brain has vessels, which you bring oxygen to the brain, may be used as pathways into the brain.
Essentially, we are going to make wires that are smaller than the diameter of blood cells, and we're going to thread them up through the vascular system from a catheter that's been inserted in your leg all the way up into your brain, into the smallest capillaries, the smallest blood vessels there, where the electrodes can be very close to the nerve cells in your brain without requiring major surgery to open your skull up and shove the electrodes into the surface.
And if he can pull that off, then that's going to open up a tremendous wealth of knowledge about the brain and a tremendous ability to alter our brains in various ways. And that's incredibly exciting. Rodolfo Lindas actually approached our group to help him create a technology that would allow him to navigate wires through the intricacies of the brain.
Okay, do you really get this? Navigate the wires through the intricacies of the brain, the smallest capillaries, okay? 2008, and he worked for NASA. Just keep that in mind.
The requirements are actually quite dramatic.
Within a week, I had already produced some preliminary wires for the neural experiments, so it moved very quickly once it started.
Well, I think there was a lot of excitement because for the first time there was a way to access the brain without never touching it. And the brain being such a vital organ, it's quite understandable you want to leave it alone.
So the technology is there. Now the question would be, yes, but can you actually put nanowires exactly at the place you want? The answer is no, you can't. But nanowires are very small.
So 500 nanometers is very small. If you think of it, that's about 100 times less than the thickness of your hair. How do you push the electrode to the brain?
So what you do is you actually send a certain number of them. You have a bundle, and then the bundle the nanowires would be allowed to float into the bloodstream until they can go no further. At the moment, we can wire a rat. We can leave the electrodes in the spinal cord. If we want to know, if we do so, how long do the wires continue to work properly. We're talking about 5 years worth of very basic research that needs to be done. It's interesting because it would be almost a perfect way to implement something known as man-machine interface. If you can stimulate the brain, you can stimulate vision, you can stimulate the auditory cortex, you can stimulate movement, you can stimulate passions, you can stimulate desires, you can basically address your brain directly.
Well, I think the idea as a whole sounds very science fiction-like. That idea also being so simple captured people's imagination. They could see and imagine that such a technology indeed could be realized.
If you want to really project and say, would it be possible to feel that you're at the beach and have the sensation of something, pleasure of being at the beach without going by brain stimulation? The answer is, well, in principle, it could be done. What else can you do? Well, you can, of course, in principle, communicate with another person directly. Not only just
Communicate with another person directly. He's admitting it right here. And remember, he worked for NASA. Put thoughts into a person's brain, make people think they're on a paradise island or whatever.
thoughts, but in principle, your feelings. So if you can get very close to somebody, you can get into their minds and vice versa. Now, the implications of that are pretty obvious. It may be a mutual situation, or it may be one directional. Somebody gets into your brain, to your mind.
Oh my gosh. Do you believe this? It can be mutual or it can be one way. It's very clear. It's very clear what he's saying. And he worked for NASA. This guy is an evil guy.
National Security Agency, the NSA, visited us, and these guys they sort of have a mystique, being members of the intelligence community. The people who came are very smart. They're dressed in suits that cost more than I make in a year. I think some of their interest is potentially sinister.
So, pure fantasy. You could imagine a group of people doing a job in the military, becoming continuously aware of their existence and what they're doing. So suddenly you have not a human, but a group of people that behave as a single entity. We could call this something like a wolf pack. You would have a collective consciousness, a collective understanding. It would be basically a rather strange device. This happened before in evolution, by the way. We used to be single-cell organisms, and now we are groups of single-cell organisms, as animals. Right?
We'll be able to do things that we can't even imagine right now in so little time that one person could do the work of 20. But at the same time, there are other concerns. If we're able to interface directly with the brain this way, what's to say the device you're using isn't reading your mind or controlling it? So I think there's a delicate balance that has to be made between how much any device that we connect to the brain is there to help us and how much it's there to monitor or control us. We should be.
And remember, NASA equals Google equals DARPA equals whoever has the money to, and the sinister ideas, like he calls it, to put this to use over the people in a mass way. Get protected now by the Holy Spirit. Psalm 91.
Things should not be controlling us.
Now, is this to be done? Should it be done? Can it be done? Well, something like that probably could be done. The upside, of course, is if you can understand, if you can feel like other persons feel, possibility is that you would understand better. So we could in fact become much better human beings, because one thing that we lack often is the ability to put oneself in other people's shoes. The downside is, of course, very clear. You begin to lose your individuality. We would be evolving into a rather different social entity. At the moment we negotiate, at the moment our relations are mostly saying what we want other people to hear. We think the other people. And we, of course, hide many aspects of what we're thinking. That's, in fact, the basis for politics, the basis for negotiations of any type. It is, therefore, very important for some people not to be totally transparent.
I think that's going to be a big change in the way we interact with reality.
The idea of being able to wire people's brains together in this way to give us the ability to directly beam our thoughts to one another sounds like science fiction. It really does. But basically right now we have proof of concept of a number of these things.
Man-machine interface obviously is one of the things that is going to happen. Absolutely.
Man-to-machine interface is one of the things that is going to happen. Absolutely. And people's brains can be wired to each other. And remember, it just goes in through the bloodstream, up to the brain, into the smallest capillaries. Oh my gosh. So this is the video that I'm on, and I'll put the link below so you can watch it if it wasn't clear enough. So this is the truth. Anyway, Rodolfo. Here he is. NASA chairman of the Neurolab Science Working Group. Pray for protection for you and everyone, yourself and your family and your friends, because it's over. Bye for now. God bless.